Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Pull your chair a little closer tonight, because this story belongs to the dark. I'm Marty Shepherd, and this is Campfire Stories, where the fire does half the work and the other half, well, that's on me.
And me? Don't forget me. I'm the one who keeps him from wandering off into the weeds for 20 minutes about some John Ford film when he should be getting to the ghost.
She's not wrong. So, Tennessee, 1817. Robertson County, a stretch of farmland along the Red River, good soil, hard winters, the kind of country where your neighbors are close enough to borrow from and far enough that nobody hears you holler. A man named John Bell was doing well out there. Good farm, good wife named Lucy, 6 children, a reputation as a fair and decent man in the community. By all accounts, the Bells were exactly the kind of family nothing unusual ever happens to.
Which, as an opening, is just about the most ominous thing you can say about a family.
It starts the way these things always start, small and dismissible. A sound in the walls. A knocking, like someone rapping knuckles on the wood panels of the farmhouse, but there's no one there when you look. Then a dragging sound, like chains being pulled across the floorboards above an empty room. John Bell figured rats. Maybe timber settling. He was a practical man, and practical men reach for practical explanations the way I reach for my reading glasses, first, and hopefully.
I would have blamed the eldest kid and moved on with my evening.
But it didn't stop. Weeks became months, and the sounds became something else entirely. Bed covers yanked off sleeping children in the night. A slapping sound and then actual slaps felt on cheeks and ears, leaving marks. Betsy Bell, the daughter, took the worst of it. She'd wake with her hair pulled, her face stinging, weeping in the dark and not able to say why except that something had done it.
Betsy is the one who stays with me every time I hear this story. She was a young woman, maybe 12 or 13, when it started. She had a young man she was sweet on, Joshua Gardner. And all of this was happening to her in the middle of what should have been the happiest years of her life. That's the part that breaks my heart a little.
You're right. And the entity, because it was becoming clear this was more than a rattling wall, seemed to have an opinion about Joshua Gardner too, as it turned out. But I'm getting ahead of myself, which Carol has also accused me of in non-ghost-related contexts.
Frequently.
By 1818, the Bell Witch, because that's what the community had taken to calling it, or sometimes just Kate, after a neighbor woman named Kate Batts that John Bell had a land dispute with, had found its voice. Literally. It began to speak. Whispers at first, then a full, clear voice that could quote scripture, chapter and verse, sing hymns from memory, carry on a conversation. Visitors came from miles around. Word spread the way word spreads in a county where the post is slow and the curiosity is fast.
A talking ghost that knows the Bible. I'd have shown up too. I wouldn't have slept for a week after, but I'd have shown up.
Now here is where the story gets genuinely strange. Stranger than a talking ghost, if you can believe it. This entity had preferences. It had likes and dislikes. It adored Lucy Bell, the mother. Would bring her fruit. Would sing her favorite hymns when she was unwell. Treated her with something almost like tenderness. But John Bell, the father, the head of the household, it despised. Slapped him. Tormented his sleep. Pulled at his jaw until he couldn't eat properly. Whatever this thing was, it had decided John Bell was its particular project.
That detail always unsettles me more than the knocking and the chains. The chains are spooky. The fact that it had a grudge, a specific, personal, sustained grudge, that feels like something out of a Patricia Highsmith novel. That's a malevolent intelligence, not just a haunting.
And then Andrew Jackson came to visit. the Andrew Jackson, future 7th President of the United States, at that point a general with a large reputation and, apparently, a large curiosity. He'd heard the stories and decided he'd investigate. His party set out for the Bell farm, and according to the accounts, the wagon stopped cold on the road approaching the property. Wheels locked. Horses strained. Nothing moved. And then a voice, clear as you please out of the empty air, it said they could pass now, and told the general where they'd be spending the night. Jackson, by several accounts, said he'd rather face the entire British Army at New Orleans again than spend another night in Robertson County.
Andrew Jackson, a man who fought duels for fun, said he'd rather face a British invasion?
That's the quote, more or less. Now, Betsy Bell. Her young man, Joshua Gardner, eventually broke off his engagement to her. Nobody recorded exactly why, but the community believed it was the entity's doing. It had made its displeasure known. Whether out of protectiveness toward Betsy or spite toward the young man, who can say, "Some things don't come with explanations attached, and I've learned not to pull too hard on those threads."
I think about Betsy agreeing to that or having to accept it. Losing the boy you love because the thing in your house drove him off. That's a grief nobody writes a sympathy card for.
By 1820, John Bell was a sick and broken man. He'd been declining for 2 years, jaw seizing, difficulty swallowing, a slow wasting that the doctors of the time couldn't name or treat. On the 19th of December 1820, he was found unconscious, and there was a small vial of strange, dark liquid near him that nobody recognized. He died the next morning. And the voice, the Bell witch, Kate, whatever it was, reportedly said openly, in front of the family, that it had given him that liquid, that it had finished him.
And then what? Just silence? It got what it wanted and left.
Nearly. It lingered for a little while after, then faded. Told Lucy it would return in 7 years. And by most accounts, something did come back to John Bell Jr. 7 years later, voices, presences, a brief and unsettling return. Then nothing. The farm changed hands. The years piled up. Robertson County became Adams, Tennessee, and Adams, Tennessee built a little museum and a cave tour, because that is what Americans do with their mysteries.
We monetize them, and honestly, good for Adams, Tennessee.
What I keep coming back to isn't the ghost. It isn't even the president who ran scared. It's John Bell, who by every account was a good man, living a good life, spending his last years being slowly destroyed by something he couldn't fight, couldn't reason with, couldn't understand. And Lucy, who was loved by the very same thing that was killing her husband, and who had to watch both of those facts be true at once. That's the story underneath the story. The horror isn't the voice in the dark. It's the helplessness of love in the face of something that doesn't care.
And Betsy? Don't forget Betsy. She eventually married someone else, had a family, lived a long life. I always want to believe she was okay in the end, that the years were kinder to her than those years were.
I think they were. I hope they were. Some places hold their grief for a long time. You can feel it in the land around Adams if you go there, or so people say. I'd be happy to feel it on my 85-inch television with a cup of coffee where the chairs don't pull themselves out from under you. But the Bell farm had a feeling. And some feelings don't need explaining. They just need acknowledging. Respecting the people who lived there and what they carried. I'm Marty Shepherd.
Sleep warm tonight, friends. And if you hear something in the walls, it's probably the house settling. Probably keep telling yourself that until morning.